Hi, having dealt with most of the standalone topics, now we are mostly left only with the five heads of income now. As regards total income computation, it's dependent on the other chapters. Say, resident calculation, all the five heads of income, any other deductions available, and tax payable computations. So, total income is not as such a standalone topic. This is dependent on all the other chapters of your book. So now how we are going to take up the five heads of income. First we'll be doing PGBP with the help of total income problems. That is, rather than going to each section and studying the section, we'll study the scenario based questions and understand what should be the treatment based on the PGBP provisions provided. Plus, I'm planning to take one standalone provision in the PGBP along with every sum daily. So today we'll be solving one problem, plus we'll be dealing with 44 AA provisions in the PGBP chapter. Now, taking up the sum as available in RTP May 2020. So first should be, we'll have to capture as many as information available in the question paper in your answer sheet. For example, first we'll be making note of assessee's name, assessment year, and previous year. So in this case, it is the assessee name is Mr. Manohar, and assessment year shall be 2021, and previous year shall be 2019-20, the previous year which is applicable for your exams as such. And in case you want more information to be captured, like he's a resident. So in case if there are any provisions regarding non-resident being tested in your exams, you can also make a note of your residential status in the basic information you're going to capture, and also the age, if age regarding sections, that is say senior citizen sections are checked in your exams. So it is your comfort. The maximum information you make note of, you will register in your mind so that the answer comes into place. So now they've given a basic format of income and expenditure account as of 31/2003 for the period ending 31/3/2020. So let's go to the income side. He's into consultancy. So that's why, since he's a professional, no P&L has been provided, rather income and expenditure account has been provided. So going further, we have share of profit from HUF. So first, let's start with a basic format of noting down the details. First, we'll discuss what are the provisions here with the question. Then I'll show you how it is to be solved. So seeing first, the share of profit from HUF. So share of profit is exempt. Next, interest on bank fixed deposits. This should not be in the PGBP. So income and expenditure account you will have to take as per PGBP, and this cannot be in your PGBP. This is income from other sources. The third is interest on income tax refund. Yes, it is taxable. Interest on income tax refund amount is taxable, which will be again income from other sources. So again, on the expenditure side, we have a list of expenses as per the book profit. So whatever is arrived as per the income and expenditure account is termed as book profit. We'll have to make adjustments to this based on our Income Tax Act to arrive at the total income as per the Income Tax Act. So the first adjustment. Salary includes a payment of 22,000 per month to his sister-in-law who is in charge of the marketing department. However, in comparison, so there is an excess amount paid to a relative. Yes, she is a relative, but is she getting covered in the relative's definition under 214? No, she is not. Sister-in-law is not covered. Individual, spouse, lineal ascendants and descendants, and brothers or sisters of the individual alone are covered, and not sister-in-law is not covered. So any amount paid is allowed, no adjustment is required. Next is a written down value. Where motor car is used, 25% has been used for personal use. So 25% of any motor car expenses or depreciation should be disallowed. Next is medical expenses, family planning expenditure. So here if you see that assessee's type is individual, this kind of expense, that is family planning expenditure, is available only in case of an company assessee. So even this should be added back. Next adjustment what they have provided is medical expenses for his father, 55,000. Obviously, this should be allowed while computing PGBP because it is personal in nature. However, make a note that it can be considered for your Chapter 6A deduction, that is 80T. Next, the computer was purchased on 5th June on credit. The total invoice was paid 18,000 in cash, and the remaining amount was paid through account payee on 10th of August. So any amount paid in cash above 10,000 cannot be added as an asset to the that is cannot be capitalized. So we'll have to check for the amount. Here 18,000 has been paid in cash, so that cannot be capitalized. Of the total value, 18,000 should not be added to your asset. Bonus was paid on 30th September 2020. So let's go check for his total income for the year. That is the gross receipts. It is above 50 lakhs. So he is subject to tax audit. So his due date will be 30th September. So a bonus paid, 43B bonus paid was on 30th September. So paid within due date of 139.1. So it is again allowable. Next is case of general expenses include commission payment of 42,000 for promoting business on. So 194H is applicable. So we have to have a good grip of tedious provisions to attempt even a total income question. So now the point is 42,000 without. So 30% will be 40 IA for 30% of the total payment should be disallowed. That is added back. Next is he also received gold coins from the family friend. So this will be now family friend, a gift of about 50,000 other than a relative. However, if we see the relative definition in case of income from other sources, that is gift, it has a larger perspective than gift definition we saw in 214. So now, since it is not a relative and the amount is more than 15,000, even this will be taxed. It is not on occasion of marriage. Only if the individual has received this amount on marriage, it will be exempt. So none of the conditions are met. That is, the total amount received is more than 50,000. The person does not, the giver or the gift given, the person who's giving the gift doesn't get covered under the relative definition. And also, it's not on the occasion of marriage. It's rather on marriage anniversary. So it is taxable under income from other sources. Compute the total income and tax liability. Please do make this a note in your answer sheet. They are asking for both total income and the tax liabilities. So we'll now see how to go for computation of the same. So this is how we start with our computation. So as I mention the assessee's name, assessment year and the previous year, computation of total income and tax liability. So if you see here, I've started by making note of the total income computation initially and computation of PGBP as a separate note. However, this can be started, like if you're not comfortable with the space required for each section, you can start with PGBP computation as an initial calculation itself. So now if you see, I've taken PGBP, that is profit as per income and expenditure. And if you have any other comfortable format, please do follow it. Otherwise, go for this format of making separate columns for additions, deductions to be made, and total. So by the end of the sum, you'll have total of additions, including the book profit, and total of deductions to be made from this, so that you will not get confused between numbers. So now starting as told before, there will be no adjustment for salary payment because in this case 48B is not applicable because sister-in-law is not covered as a relative. And depreciation, next is motor car expenses. And depreciation as per books will obviously be disallowed. Only depreciation as per Income Tax Act will be allowed. Please write a note for everything you allow. Here I have not given the reasons, I have just shown you the basic format. Or immediately after the point, say medical expenditure for family planning expenditure for, why is this disallowed or why is this added back to the net profit? Kindly make a note of reason below this. The reason is that only for company assessees it will be allowed. So make a note of it immediately. And here for the next point, it is personal in nature, so it is disallowed. Purchase of computer is disallowed for 90,000. Again, write a note that it cannot be under section. If you're comfortable with section, you can also quote. So under section 37, capital in nature, it is not allowed. Bonus, we need not make any adjustments because it was paid within due date. And why was it considered as paid within due date? Kindly write the reason. Because the tax audit is applicable to this specific individual, and 30th September is the due date, so he is paid before 139(1) due date, and therefore bonus is allowed. And commission paid without TDS. So having the tax audit applicable, he should have deducted TDS on the commission as it is above the threshold allowed. So 30% of the total commission paid will be disallowed. And further coming to the adjustments in the nature of subtraction from the total income. That is income under any other heads now which has been included in the book profit will now be subtracted. And we have arrived at an total income or PGBP income as such. Now, whatever has been excluded from the PGBP as income included in the other heads, make sure you have included here. And now, Chapter 6A deduction, as mentioned before, why we are allowing 50,000, make a separate note, because his father is then senior citizen. Next, tax liability. If you are aware or if you're comfortable with calculating the slabs as number as such, say you know if it's 30% slab, it's just 1,12,500 into, if you can just remember the numbers this way, well and good, you can do this. But if you want to be confident about the answers, it's better if we write each slabs. So you know when it's between 5 and 10, you start with the slab and compute it at 20%. Now, the income above 50 lakhs, we'll have to remember few points. One is surcharge. For an individual having amount or total income above 50 lakhs, we'll have to include surcharge. And for any amount above that, we'll have to calculate our marginal relief also. So surcharge will be at 10% of the tax calculated as per the slabs. Then calculating the marginal relief. How is it done? We'll have to first calculate the amount of tax payable including the surcharge. Subtract any tax applicable as on, since the amount here is about 50 lakhs, compute the tax payable on 50 lakhs, that is 13,50,000. Then compute another set of figures, that is any amount above 50 lakhs. So here this total income is 51 lakhs 11,430, whereas we have to subtract 50 lakhs. So the difference between these two will form as a marginal relief. And now we'll have to compute in amount including tax payable plus surcharge minus marginal relief. And on this amount, cess at 4% will be calculated. So round it off to nearest 10. This is how tax payable will be computed. So in case you're not comfortable with leaving space for the initial total income computation headwise, do it. First write a note, first compute what is as per PGBP, and then you can follow a format of finally summing up the total income calculation and tax liability calculation. It need not be in any specific order, but make sure you are comfortable with the numbers and every single word you write. Like just because there is no amount involved in this computation, say salary, it's not going to affect your answer as such. Just because it's not going to affect your answer, just don't leave it from the question paper. Make sure you write the point and why is it not considered in your answer sheet also. So moving on in our discussions, the next point of discussion is 44AA, compulsory maintenance of accounts. There are three categories of people now. So one is notified professional in case of individual or HUF, and other than individual or HUF. So while coming to notified professions, what are all the professions actually notified? Legal, medical, engineering, architectural professionals, accountancy, technical or interior decorations. As per the Act, there is yet another miscellaneous category that says any other profession as has been notified by the CBDT. So what is actually included in the as has been notified by the CBDT? It includes a profession of film artist, say a lyricist, director, music director, editor, singer, the profession of company secretary and information technology professions. So now the list of professionals are provided for. They have to statutorily maintain books of accounts and other documents enable the assessing officer to compute his total income. So there is no exceptions available to the notified professionals. The second is a category of people other than the professions, notified professionals in case of an individual or HUF, say for existing business. So from the existing business or profession exceeds the income from such business exceeds 2,50,000 or the total sales turnover or gross receipts, that is in case of business, sales or turnover, in case of profession, the gross receipt of the individual or HUF exceeds 25 lakhs in any one of the 3 years immediately preceding the accounting year. So we'll have to check for immediately 3 preceding previous years. Even if in 1 year the amount has been exceeded, that is 2,50,000 in case of income and 25 lakhs in case of this thing, what is that? Sales or turnover, we'll have to maintain books, or the individual or HUF has to maintain books. So this is in case of existing business. How about a newly set up business? Same thresholds are available, but the number of years has not been prescribed. So in existence, even any year when the amount exceeds, from that year, books of accounts should be maintained. So person other than individual or HUF. Same two categories here, that is existing and newly set up. So the threshold again is same, that is income should be 1,20,000. Over there for individual HUF it's 2,50,000. So other than individual and HUF it's 1,20,000 and turnover or gross receipt should exceed 10 lakhs in the same. So other conditions remaining the same. Threshold alone differs from individual and HUF and other persons. The other two categories of people shall be this thing, presumptive income. So 44 AE and 44 AD. So 44 AE, wherever the PGBP is lower than, that is the income is lower than the PGBP, whatever is declared as per 44 AE threshold, then books of account shall be compulsory. For 44 AD, 8% is the notified person. So if your income is less than 8% of your total income and the amount exceeds basic exemption limit, then books of account is compulsory. So say in case where a turnover, 8% on the turnover is less than 2,50,000, then the person need not maintain books of accounts. Next, what is the list of prescribed books of accounts? So, Rule 6F enumerates what are all the books of accounts to be kept or maintained by the assessee. Cash book, journal, ledger, carbon copies of bills and receipts, original bills and receipts to the person in respect of expenditure incurred. In case of non-medical professions, there are two other books. In addition to the list, there are two kinds of books to be maintained. One is daily case register and an inventory under broad heads of stock of drugs, medicine and other consumable accessories, as on the first and last day of the previous year should be kept. So taking here an example, to check if we have learned the provisions correctly. So here Vinod is a person carrying on profession as film artist. His gross receipts of the profession are as under. Financial year 16, 17, 17, 18. So it's 1 lakh 15, 1 lakh 80, 2 lakh 10,000 respectively for each past year. So we'll have to check what is his obligation for maintenance of books of accounts in the assessment year 2021 under section 44A. So now he's a film artist, that is, he doesn't fall under the first two, like the second two categories. So for notified professional, the category under which we'll have to check. So for them, Rule 6F provides that in each of the three financial years, amount should be above 1,50,000 for notified professionals. So in other cases, it was any of the three financial years. However, in case of a notified professional, in all the 3 years, it should be above 1,50,000. But if you see here in 16, 17, it's less than 1,50,000. So there is no need to maintain books of accounts. However, there is an obligation for notified professionals that they should maintain books of accounts and other documents that may enable the assessing officer to compute the total income in accordance with the provisions of this act. That is, there is a list of accounts prescribed. However, not everything should be maintained by them. They should have certain books of accounts and other documents to enable the assessing officer to compute the total income in accordance with the provisions of this act. So, what is the period that a person should maintain books if he is abided by the law to maintain books? The book should be kept at least minimum of 6 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. That is, it works up to 8 years from the financial year. So from 1 year from the assessment year, which is, so for say for the financial year 1920, assessment year 2021 shall be the period from which we'll have to compute 6 years. So March 2021 will be the end of the assessment year. 6 years from then will be 2027. So for financial year 1920 till March 26-27, we'll have to maintain books. That is 8 years. Thank you for listening. Just make sure you go through the 3 categories of maintenance of accounts so that you will have a better grip in the threshold amounts. Thank you for listening.